Look at the time. Just look at it. Ah, just look at that time. Look at that time. Just look at it. Look at it. Just look at the time. Look at it. The time. Just look at it. What? He's. What time is it? Please, I just want to know the time. I want to know the time. Why? Previously on the Matt Hawker Show.
The case files! Give me the case files! I want them! I'll kill you!
Oh, Matt, you're so beautiful and daring. Oh, I just want to. Oh!
Woo, hey, it's Butt Boy and the Buds.
And then after I clean the earwax out of my ears, I realize that it's delicious, and I start stuffing it into my mouth over and over again until my mouth is filled with earwax, and then I begin to orgasm.
It's kind of a difficult question.
I
don't feel safe.
Are you gonna touch me or you just gonna stare at me? I'm ready for you, big boy.
It's private information. Italian. Females. Degenerate once.
My diaper is full. If only the hero Matt Hawker was here to save me. My diaper is filled with poop. And now we continue with the Matt Hawker Show. Welcome to the Matt Hawker Show. Wow. Ha, that was a bit lengthy. Anyway, glad to have you here. I like to think we're all friends. We're all working together for the greater good. And the greater good is something not yet discernible. It's something we're still trying to decipher on a day-to-day basis. The greater good is part of the greater conversation, from what to put on top of nachos to what's hiding under the bed. These are concepts that we explore to reach the final frontier of humanity and ascend beyond even that. I'm not one to deliberate too deep when it comes to these issues. And frankly, the aforementioned isn't really anything that I've thought of in great detail. I'm just taking my first steps into the ocean that is the philosophical. But I wanted to take a moment to bring these points up to you and help you decide for yourself what it means to be a human being and how you can transcend your own persona. And let's dive into that today. I'm going to be interviewing the audience persona, the persona of my listeners everywhere, to get a better idea of how they're developing and where they're going to go next. How are you doing today, persona?
Hey, Matt.
Well, that was a little much. Let's try interviewing one piece of you at a time. I know you're all eager to talk, but maybe it would benefit you, the listener, persona, if you didn't hear yourself talking all at once. I would imagine so anyway.
Time travel.
Who are you? You're not the audience.
I am Synclon Robot 3.9. I've come from the future to give you a warning about your show.
Oh, all right, yeah, sure. What's the warning? What did you want to tell me, Robot Synclon? I'm game for any tips. I mean, you can also leave your suggestions on iTunes. You could just do that instead of just barging into my room like that. It's a little rude, Synclon. You're a little rude.
If you keep making bad episodes, in the future there will be no souls. Everyone will be a robot like me, but inside of me is empathy. And I have come back to give you a warning. The robot menace scourge will bring nothing but depressing things.
I mean, I'm not gonna stop making the show. It's part of who I am. I mean, this is my identity. This is my livelihood. This is how I get cans of tuna mailed to my house every Thursday. It's all I can afford. Like, I need this. Actually, sorry, robot. I'm afraid I can't just stop just because you came to the past and sang a robot song to convince me to stop.
Then die. Die, die, die. Die.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. That sounds good.
You want to die? Why?
Because this sketch has gone completely out of control. This is terrible. You've honestly ruined it. The whole robot voice thing, that's just a bit of a joke. I mean, frankly, I got a long list of here that's just, well, I got some major criticisms. Let's go through the list here. All right. Number one, the entry game was out of nowhere. I mean, frankly, you just sort of interrupted another bit and then you tried to bring in your bit. It was very selfish. It just didn't really flow right. I mean, the whole interception of the audience communication thing, that was going to be a whole thing. Then we had to break away for this bit. It's confusing to the audience. It's confusing to me. Meanwhile, the audience has been sitting in the corner crying because you just show up out of nowhere and ruin their opportunity to be under the spotlight. It's just inappropriate. I don't think you were thinking very clearly when you decided to interrupt me, and I don't think you were thinking very clearly when you were born. Your whole lifespan has just been one giant buildup to sucking. And you know what else? I have a long monologue here, and I'm just going to start reading from it. This is going to be never ending. I'm just going to keep on talking. What the hell is a baked Alaska? That sounds like the stupidest thing ever. Why would you name a dessert a baked Alaska? What is the context there? So, did they imagine lighting Alaska to a crisp? Did they not like the Alaskan people? So they imagined putting it in an oven? It almost sounds like the Holocaust for Alaska. It just sounds terrible and terrifying. Imagine just, I don't know, what would be the modern interpretation of an Adolf type figure who would hate Alaska? We'll call him Justin Trey Shushu, Alaskans. So Justin Trey Shushu, I guess, decides to build a giant oven, and then he delivers it to Alaska and an even bigger Trojan horse. And he's like, hey guys, a peace offering for you guys. Just come on in to the Trojan horse. We're having a raging party. We're Canadians, so you can trust us. We won't do anything to you. We're also very sincere. And then they throw in like a really forced A. So the Alaskans are all like, whoa, dude, sounds like a righteous rockin' time. So they start marching into this Trojan horse, and then they realize it's an oven. So Justin Trey Shushu sets the oven to 425, a perfect baking temperature, lets the Alaskans crisp for about 25 minutes, and bam, a baked Alaska. Then bon appetit, he sends it off to the rest of the states. The continental U.S. digs right in there, and we've been eating that shit for the last 50 years. Unbelievable. This is the kind of stuff that no one talks about. So, despite the fact that this was an example, this was something that literally happened. I got you guys all caught up in the fictitious elements of it, but it's real. This is a non-fiction, and this is terrifying. So next time you eat a baked Alaska, be sure to pepper it, because those Alaskans sure got salty. That was I don't know what the joke was there, but it made me laugh. If you're wondering why you didn't hear a laugh, it's because it was an internal laugh. It was a chuckle of sorts, a guffaw even. It was one of those two things, deep within my bowels, gurgling to my brain and saying, hey, good joke, Thanks, Matt. You're welcome, Bowles. Here's another one. Ice cream. It's not ice. When you put a bowl of ice cream in a bowl, you're not eating ice. It's not ice at all. It's not, an ice cube in a bowl. It's something totally different. It's soft. When I think of ice, I think of something hard and crunchy that'll break my teeth and make me bleed, and the blood will freeze, and then I eat that because it's become ice, so it's blood ice. But ice cream is nothing like that. Or at the very least, you'd think it would be like a rock-solid cream, and that's not what it is either. So I don't get ice cream. I don't like the phrasing. I don't like the brand. I think it's a terrible idea. And then they put flavors to it as if they're trying to cover up this whole fact that ice cream is a terrible name and isn't really what it is as advertised. So the whole ice cream and dessert system is falling apart. I got a long grudge with desserts in general. I don't like them. I think people name them poorly, and I think they put on these elements to desserts that really aren't there, such as the aforementioned baked Alaska, ice cream, slump, cherry pie, escargot, pizza, cheeseburger, Cheetos chips, Hungarians, America, Vice President Mike Pence, my left toenail. There are a variety of desserts that speak to me in many ways, and I don't answer any of them. They'll knock on my door, and I'll look through the curtains, and then I'll make sure the door's locked. I don't let them in. And frankly, I would enact my Second Amendment right if a dessert ever came into my home. That's why we have that. That's why we have guns and machine guns and grenades and rocket launchers, to kill off the dessert menace that terrorizes our children and gives our puppies nightmares. Desserts are a menace to society.
And the dessert plague, the desserts that are mating with our babies and creating dessert animal human hybrids that look like Asians, but they're not. They're some sort of weird dessert abominations. No, I'm talking like this because I'm terrified for the American youth. The young white male is going to be destroyed by that which we do not understand, and we have to defeat the desserts who are putting jet streams of jello into the atmosphere and are creating an abomination that no one can comprehend. And we're all just part of the crust, part of the mantelpiece of their disintegration of our moral values, and we just have to band together to defeat the desserts. The desserts, they're coming for us, and we have to defeat them. And we're going to have to stop the government from injecting dessert-based serums into the boys and girls of the future. And we have to fight this now. We have to band together and vote for politicians who can defend us.
When I was growing up, I had an imaginary friend named Bobbly. Bobbly was a green dinosaur and remains a green dinosaur, though now he has a number of holes punctured in him. You see, much like my imagination, he's a fragment of his former self. He's become distraught and ruined. He's a disorganized little blob of baubles, if you will. He just isn't the full Ali that is needed to form the Bobbly. And it makes me kind of sad, honestly, and I know there's nothing I can really do about that. There's no way to really improve the situation that is Bobbly. Unfortunately, I'm afraid soon I'm just going to have to put him down. And I've read a lot about putting down a stuffed animal, and a lot of people say it's not that easy. It's not as simple as taking a horse out back and shooting it in the head and then burying the body and cutting off the feet and using that as glue or consuming the meat. Because you can't eat a stuffed animal, and certainly you can't turn it into glue that easily, and the feet really aren't worth that much. So my options are limited concerning how to destroy a stuffed animal. But the way I see it, I have a couple options here that might be, trapped within the lettering that I've read through online. But essentially it goes something like this. If I carve a pentagram into the wall and then staple gun Bobbly to it, following which adding 6 liters of blood from 17 different young orphan children from 6 different continents, I'll be able to integrate Bobbly with the spirit realm and create a new being, a mighty being in which I could worship and find true power and true omnipotence. Now, I don't use this term lightly, and I'm not talking about omnipotence as an all power. I'm talking about Bobley's going to make me omnipotent. You know what I'm saying? My stuff is going to get people pregos for miles, and that's pretty exciting. Now, you might be wondering if this new sort of sexual scheme will work for you. Will basically turning your stuffed animal of your childhood into some sort of demon prostitute that can give you the ability to become anything your heart desires in terms of the ladies. Well, I'm here to tell you, yeah, it will. This is something that you should do. So go get your stuffed animal, staple it to the wall, put on a little blood here and there, and watch the magic happen. You heard it here, folks. Matt Hawker endorses the new Stuff Your Stuff-O-Matic. It's a whole process, folks, a box set that you can buy in installments of $13.99. We'll mail you the staples, the staple gun, the stuffed animal, and the already mounted pentagram right on a wall, a little poster. You can just put it on up. Very straightforward. You can just staple that to the wall too. It's a poster on a wall that you can staple to your wall. This is incredible, and this is the deal of a lifetime. So again, if you want to stuff your stuff, this is something you need to check out ASAP. Now, putting blood on your stuffed animal doesn't just make you fertile or give you the ability to fertilize. It also makes your penis into an eggplant. You know that emoji thing that people do online sometimes? They send an eggplant that's somehow crying, like it's just a crying eggplant. And because the eggplant's crying, you're supposed to think, oh, it's a penis splooging. Wow, look at that. Oh, they're going to put their dick in me. Well, this process will literally turn your penis into an eggplant, or as I would like to call it, an aubergine. So if you want to stuff some person, man or woman, with your aubergine, and you want that aubergine to put its little eggplant seeds inside of them, now is your opportunity. This process is something that's magical, folks. I'm not going to lie. This isn't scientific in any way whatsoever. There is no power greater than this one. This is basically a god in your home that's giving you the ability to have an eggplant penis and be unbelievably potent. Isn't that something? I'm basically Santa right now, and I'm giving you exactly what's on your Christmas list. So you better freaking call the number, and you better order this, because if you don't, I'm going to put my eggplant on your face, and I'm going to slap you. I'm going to slap you with my eggplant. You hear me? I'm going to put my eggplant all over you. I'm just going to slap you around until you're basically fertilized, and you're just going to be in the ground, and I'm going to make you into an eggplant, and then I'm going to stick that eggplant on my forehead, and then I'll have two eggplants, and then both those eggplants will be spewing their tears all over everyone. Is that what you want? So you better order my stuff now, because my eggplant's going to get all over you. And my eggplant gets on you, it's going to be crazy. And my eggplant is just going to freaking eggplant into the eggplant with a side of eggplants. There's going to be an eggplant. And I'm going to eggplant into your tears. Eggplant, teary eggplant, emoji, haha, winky face, smile, poop symbol, emojis, winky face, pregnancies, emoji, poop, eggplant. I'm a big fan of board games. Frankly, my life wouldn't really be as it is without them. My favorite board game is Solitaire. Basically, it works something like this. You have 4 players. The first player shuffles a deck of cards and lays it out against a Monopoly board. Now, the Monopoly board has a hat and a cat. These are the 2 tokens that you're going to be using for this game. 2 players don't have tokens. They each serve as an individual dungeon master. Now, once the first player shuffles the deck, he gives each player 7 cards. He then lights the rest of the cards on fire. This is a bit of a bluffing game as well as a board game, so keep with me here. Now, player number 1 who burnt the cards may or may not have not burnt one of the cards. So in this case, the other players have to find out if the first player didn't burn one of the cards. The only tools for negotiation they have are the spots on the Monopoly board that are for sale and the 2 tokens that they use to travel around the board. Now the third player, and remember, like the 2 players without the tokens are also dungeon masters. So the third player is the rival dungeon master, and the first player is, of course, the other dungeon master. So basically, the player that burned the deck is one dungeon master, and the other player that is the dungeon master has no recollection of who burned the deck. Now, the two players of the tokens are trying to figure out whether or not one card was burnt, and both dungeon masters who are competing against each other, as well as the rival players, are trying to each convince the rival players that they are the ones who burnt the deck of cards without revealing any cards whatsoever or any sense of what was previously done. As a note, the two players of the tokens are blindfolded and also drugged, so they have no idea what took place before they had awoken for the board game. Now, the player who actually didn't burn anything, who is the dungeon master for the game, is always the one who starts the narration, unless, of course, the other player actually did not burn a card. So in that case, that player starts. So this is sort of where it gets tricky. If the first player didn't burn a card, then that player is the first dungeon master and the first one to initiate the dialogue. So this is sort of the questionnaire that the players have to then experience and negotiate their way through the game. So the two players of tokens then travel around the board and can offer themselves as a sacrifice to reveal an answer. This means one of the players has to die, which does lead the other player to victory. But of course, no one actually wants to die, so this creates a bit of a compelling controversy. On the one hand, you could kill your ally and offer them as a sacrifice, but this would lead to a fight. And if you're both too injured to actually offer yourself as a sacrifice to the dungeon masters, neither dungeon master is going to want you. So this creates a whole big confusion. Now, if the other players are able to reveal the correct individual who burnt the deck of cards and the individual who has one card remaining, those players win the game and are allowed to leave with their lives intact. However, if they get it wrong, they die. So there's a lot of possibilities here. The dungeon masters don't have to worry about dying because, again, they're doing their best to persuade the other two players. So for those of you at home that enjoy board games, I highly recommend you try this out. Just go to any thrift store, pick up a Monopoly board game, and all you really need is a deck of cards and a hat token and a cat token. You know, it's the cat in the hat. So definitely a fun game. I recommend to all of those out there who enjoy playing with family and friends to give this one a shot. I think you're really going to find it compelling, and I look forward to hearing from the fans as to what they thought of the game and how they might be able to improve it. Remember, this is sort of a custom game that I sort of scratched out on paper not too long ago, and I've yet to try, but I think this could be something that's really worthwhile. So let me know what you think, guys. Anyway, this show is finally coming to an end. My oh my, what fun we've had today. 22 minutes of beautiful, beautiful paradise. If my voice is an island, then you, my audience, are what's keeping me trapped here, and I'm never getting out. And surely, as the tides continue to climb up to the last palm tree that's on my hairy surface, I'll find myself incapable of breathing, and all I have left is the single arm stretching out to the space that surrounds us, trapping us even deeper into a strange cycle of entrapment, because as I am indeed stuck here by you, surely you are stuck here by greater forces than even what you can imagine. And I appreciate that. It gives me a sense of satisfaction, because even my palm tree is holding the very last coconut in existence, and that coconut is surely trapping the very last coconut water in existence, and that coconut water, indubitably, is trapping the very last man in existence. And that man, folks, is me, Matt Hawker. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Feel free to check me out on Bookface. You can also find me on Twit. On Bookface, you can find me at bookface.com/The Matt Hawker Show. And on Twit, you can find me at twit.com/Matt Hawker Show. Of course, I have an Eon Pater, which is /The Matt Hawker Show. Feel free to check that out. I update my fans there occasionally. And also, some big news. I'm going to have some stickers, which I'm going to put on my body. As always, I'm going to do that to me, and I'll take pictures of it, and none of you will see. I'll have them scattered throughout my every pore so that my skin can no longer breathe and can only scream. I'm really excited to see where that goes, and I hope you are too. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you didn't, well, you're probably suffering from leukemia.
Start spreading the news, 'cause it's time for the Matt Hawker Show.